Hello my lovelies, it's Gavin again. I'm making another video already. I have a lot of spare time on my hands with all the driving and stuff that I'm doing for work. So I'm going to try to talk about all the things that I've been procrastinating about. Because I have ideas for videos like every day. I just still have a hard time getting in front of the camera, still. And I've been doing this shit since like 2008. Oh my god. Anyway, I just kind of wanted to quickly touch on transition today and the process that you go through medically as well as spiritually and emotionally. Now, way back in 2008, when I came out as trans and I started making vlogs, I considered waiting to start my vlogs until I was on hormones and had begun my medical transition. However, I noticed that at the time there was a deplorable lack of videos out there from guys pre-T, pre-op, pre-everything, going through the emotional turmoil of coming to terms with being trans and accepting that about yourself and finally finding your space in the world and how you're supposed to exist in that space and navigate the world as a trans individual. Coming out to your family, coming out to your friends, I mean, your partners. There's so much that we have to go through before we even begin to pursue medical transition. Now, I say so much that we have to go through, but in my opinion, my personal opinion, I think those are things that we need to go through before we pursue and start medical transition. I call it my emotional transition, and I went through that before I started hormones, and I'm so very grateful that I gave myself that time to process all of those things and do what I needed to do to get my head in the right place to begin my medical transition. Because, you know, the bottom line is you're putting a hormone into your body that up until that point has been foreign, and it causes changes. Now, we want these changes, we hunger for these changes, and when these changes occur, we are very grateful. But that in and of itself is a lot to cope with, particularly if you're transitioning on the job. You have to deal with people asking questions, and sometimes that's really awkward and uncomfortable. So I think it's very advisable that you go through all of those other things before you start transition so that you're in a good space to do that. Because if you as a trans person choose to be out and not live as stealth, then, you know, you kind of take on a responsibility to be a liaison between the trans community and the cis community. And, you know, you want to present a good example, because you may be the first trans person they've ever met. You may be the only trans person they will meet that they know of. So I think it's a good idea to leave them with a good, solid, healthy impression of what trans people can be like. You know, of course, we're all like beautiful snowflakes, and we're all unique and different, but the least we can do is put our best face forward, I guess, so to speak. So, anywho, I think it's very important to go through your emotional transition before you pursue medical transition. Also, there is no blueprint on how to transition. You don't have to get hormones first. You can have top surgery first. I know several guys that have had top surgery, and they had top surgery with the intent of never taking hormones, because that's not something they felt like they needed. Now, some of them did subsequently begin hormones after top surgery. Some of them didn't. There are some guys that start hormones and never have any surgery because that's just not something they feel they need as individuals. There are some guys that start T and get their surgery and they're good to go. They're done. There are some guys that get hormones, get top surgery, get bottom surgery, and they're done. For me personally, I've been on hormones for almost 2 years. That's something that I felt like I needed. But I spent almost 3 years going through my emotional transition before I started hormones. And like I said, I'm very grateful I did, because my head is in a very good place for what's been going on for the last 2 years. And there have been some rough patches because obviously my outward appearance and the way I sound has changed a great deal. And it's been slightly distressing to my family. Nowhere near what a lot of guys have to go through, so I'm very grateful for that. But there have been some awkward moments at work. And if I were still trying to deal with all the stuff that comes before medical transition, I don't know if I could have handled it as gracefully and diplomatically as I did. Because I got that shit down. I know how to be diplomatic and tactful. Ask anybody that knows me. It's one of my talents. But anywho, just try to remember that there is no one right way to transition. I know that the medical community puts down all these stipulations and markers, and you got to go to therapy, and you got to get this diagnosis, and you got to get this letter, and you got to take it to this doctor, and yada yada yada. And when you get to the point that you're ready to do all of that, I mean, of course you're gonna have to follow their guidelines, but that, for instance, when I went to therapy to get my T letter, I presented the textbook definition of gender identity disorder, and I got my letter. Now, the truth of the matter is, I'm not textbook trans, because as I've been on hormones the last 2 years, a wonderful, wonderful thing has happened for me. It's allowed me to embrace my feminine side, because for me personally, I know that I can't ever escape the fact that I was socialized as a female for 28 years. And for me personally, I'm okay with that. It doesn't bother me. I have no intention of laying that part of my being to rest. I think of it as a strength and not a weakness, because I have a level of empathy that most other cis males don't have. I'm not saying that cis guys can't, get on that level with chicks, but let's be real, trans guys, we kind of have that's one of the things that we have to be thankful for. So I have no intention of eradicating that part of my personality. And I'm really completely okay with the fact that I'm pretty damn effeminate. It doesn't make me any less of a trans guy. So just try to remember, I'm so scattered. There's such pretty scenery, and I'm trying to watch for animals, because whenever I accidentally do hit one, I cry for like 3 hours and my face gets all swollen, and it's not cute. Anyway, so to sum up, remember, it's very important that you take time to go through your emotional transition before before pursuing your medical transition. And again, this is just my personal opinion. I'm just sharing my experiences and trying to impart a little wisdom on the younger community coming up. That's all. I am in no way, shape, or form trying to dictate to anyone how they should do anything, because that's just not how I do. And also try to remember that there is no one right way to transition. You know, if you're trying to determine whether or not you're transgender, but you feel like hormones is just not something that you want to do, that does not make you any less trans. If you feel like you don't ever want to have top surgery or bottom surgery, whatever, that does not make you any less trans. So there. And I guess that's really all I wanted to talk about in this video. I have to drive 2 hours again to work tomorrow, so you never know, I might make another video. I know I'm fussing about work a lot, but I'm actually very happy. I'm doing great. My personal life is phenomenal. Shay and I are incredibly happy. I'm doing great, if anyone was wondering. So I will talk to you soon, and I hope everyone has a great day. Bye, y'all.